Hi, I'm E.D. Lewis, and welcome back to another E.D. Lewis Reviews and another Nocturnal Review. Before we get started, you know the drill. Hit that subscribe button, like the video, comment at the end of the video. I love to read those comments. I don't get enough comments, so please leave a comment. I hope everybody's doing okay and keeping safe and not going too stir crazy. Hope everybody's staying home, social distancing, all that stuff that I know may not seem fun to some and to others may seem fun, but we just got to keep on doing this, flatten that curve, and keep fighting all this. We're in this together. So I wasn't sure what I was going to do my video on for sure today, but I ran across something, and I've been meaning to do this video for a while. Today is April 21st, and the ironic thing about that is that it is the birth date of Charlotte Brönte. And Charlotte Brönte wrote one of my favorite, well, it would be my favorite Gothic novel, called Jane Eyre. And to me, that is the gold standard of Gothic novels. So it is a Gothic romance, and it is right here. I don't know where my physical copy is, so I have my digital copy that I got as a replacement, and it is Jane Eyre by Charlotte Brönte. This one was 99 cents, by the way. You can find it on Kindle. I'm sure there are Nook versions. There are several Kindle versions. This was a cheaper one. But anyway, it was published in 1847, and this book has a lot to say about social class, sexuality, religion, society in general. There's a lot this book has to say, and so you just have to, read into that stuff. This book, or novel, rather, we're going to say novel, is an autobiography of sorts, because when it was first published, it was published as Jane Eyre, an autobiography under a pen name. And so, since it is an autobiography, it is being told first person by the title character of Jane Eyre. Now, Jane Eyre is orphaned, and she goes to live with her aunt and uncle, the Reeds. But after her uncle's death, she's treated very poorly by her aunt and cousins, who antagonize her and paint her as an unruly child, causing her to lash out. And in response to such lashing out, I think at one point she attacks her cousin John. They lock her in her uncle's old bedroom, which they call the Red Room, and Jane is terrified when that happens because she is convinced that the room is haunted since that's where he died. She's evidently, I cannot read my notes or my notes, and I basically wrote these notes down from the top of my head because I know the story very well. And I've, besides reading the book, I've also seen several adaptations, so I know the story very, very well. And we'll talk a little bit about adaptations. I should have picked up a couple of copies of versions I have, because there's some that I like above others. But anyway, she's eventually sent to a school called Lowood, run by this very strict religious fanatic, Mr. Brocklehurst, who warns the other children that Jane is a liar and a sinner, and that they should shun her and show her no kindness whatsoever, and not to talk to her, nothing, complete shunning. So it is an absolutely horrible place, and I think many of the girls, if I can remember correctly, that they have either Jane or all the girls, it's been a while since I've read it, had them all cut off their hair, because it was, vanity, and vanity is a sin. And this guy was very, very, very cold, very I guess you'd say, pious man. But, however, there were a few who don't see her in that way, and they are the superintendent, Miss Temple, who's very kind, and a fellow student of Jane's named Helen Burns. There's some stuff that goes on with Helen Burns, but I don't want to talk about that because that's a spoiler, and I'm trying to keep, spoilers down to a minimum. There's already a few that I've already told, but they're minor because this book, it's kind of a long book, but there's a lot that happens. It covers literally Jane's life. Of course, not the end of her life because she's the one telling it, but it covers years, from childhood into adulthood. Jane grows up at Lowood School and becomes a teacher there. She wants to leave and advertises for a governess position and is hired by a Miss Fairfax, who is the housekeeper of Thornfield Hall. So we have that, that mansion, that spooky mansion or castle. In this case, of course, not a castle. And we already have the religious, side of it, and we have, the thoughts of, ghosts or hauntings of something, something supernatural, whether it be real or in the character's imagination. Which I don't know about any of you guys, but I believe in hauntings and I have seen stuff, and if you don't believe in that, that's fine, Everybody has their experiences, so. So she travels to this grand estate and cares for the ward of one Edward Rochester, or Rochester. I'm never really sure how to pronounce that name, and in some of the film adaptations, they pronounce it slightly differently, so I have no idea. Anyway, she cares for his ward, a young French girl by the name of Adele. But from the time that Jane settles in at Thornfield Hall, she hears mysterious wicked laughs and sounds in the night, and when Mr. Rochester returns and meets her, her life changes in ways she never expected, and I could go on with so much that happens, but that would be having a lot of spoilers, so. But I would check out Jane Eyre, and you can find it pretty cheap, and a lot, I don't think a lot of bookstores are open right now. I don't know if any of the big ones are, because I don't really have a big bookstore around where I live. So, if you can, check it out. I'm pretty sure they probably have it on Audible. I think Micah Reads on his channel reads this book. I think I've seen it on there before. So I think he has that. And then, of course, you can also get it digital with Kindle. So, with film adaptations, this book has been adapted into several films. I'm sure there's been some plays. One of my favorite versions, I think I will probably do another video. I meant to do it in this, but I didn't think about grabbing some of my adaptations. I have a few. My favorite one is the 1983 miniseries version that was done by the BBC, and it's several episodes. I think it's like 11 episodes or so, and they're each like 20 minutes without commercials. And it has Timothy Dalton in the role of Edward Rochester. And so there's other versions. There's one with George C. Scott, I think is his name, in that role. There's a version with is it John Hurt or William Hurt? I can't remember. It's from the early 90s. I think it's William Hurt, I think. John Hurt's the other actor. Yeah, it is William Hurt. And that one has a very young Anne Paquin from True Blood in it, playing Jane as a child. That one's not the greatest adaptation, but it gets the point across. There was a adaptation done a while back with Michael Fassbender in it, and that woman, I can't think of what her name is. I think it's Mia something, who played Alice in the Tim Burton Alice in Wonderland and the sequel Alice Through the Looking Glass. And she was also in another Gothic film besides Jane Eyre called Crimson Peak. She plays Jane in that film version. That's the most recent film version that I've seen, and I think it's pretty good too. So that would be my second favorite. And there's another one with... I can't remember what his name is. He's the one who played in the major film adaptation of Jane Austen's Persuasion, but I can't think of what his name is, where he plays Rochester as well. And then there's several other adaptations for television, and I haven't seen too many of those because I really like that one. There is an old one from the 40s, I think, with Orson Welles in it too, and I haven't seen that one either. So I have my picks, but I'll do probably a video on those sometime. So, it's ironic because a book that is closely associated with Jane Eyre is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier, and it's interesting because that one's is considered somewhat inspired by, I think, or influenced by Jane Eyre a lot. It's oftentimes connected. If you like Jane Eyre, you'll probably like Rebecca, which is how I got introduced to Rebecca. And I got introduced to Jane Eyre in high school, actually from that miniseries that I was talking about, and then it led me to eventually reading the book. But my aunt had introduced me to Rebecca. She said, if you like that, you'll like Rebecca. So I saw the movie Rebecca, and eventually later on read the book. It's interesting because Charlotte Brönte was born today, on this date, April 21. Her book had some sort of influence and is usually closely connected with Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. And then today was released a book that I have had to request a copy of because Walmart didn't get it in the store, but which is the only place I could have gotten it, I think. And it just came out today, and it's called In Her Shadow, or In Her Shadows by Kristen Miller, I think. And it's a Rebecca-like book, if you read the description, that it has very Rebecca-ish qualities to it. And it was actually suggested, it's published by Random House, and it was suggested on, Random House was advertising on Instagram, and that's how I found out about it. And I was like, ooh, I gotta get that. So I've requested my copy, and it's on its way. And they said if you like calling Daphne du Maurier fans, and so I checked it out, and I was like, ooh, really cool. So check that out. I'm planning on checking that out at some point. I have my copy on its way. Recently, I'm doing a shout out to that book. I'm doing a shout out also to the Dark Hollow Chronicles, which has recently been completed. It is by Regina St. Clair. I think she just says R. St. Clair. But anyway, that just recently got completed, I think, and you can get that for like $2.99, all 4 books together, I think, on Amazon. I just got that. And Regina's the one who does Regina's Haunted Library. Check her out. Also, Half-a-Weenathon. If you follow me on Instagram, which follow me on Instagram and Twitter, I'll be doing my picks that I'm going to be doing for the 5 challenges, which there's 4 books and a dress up or decorate for Halloween. Half-a-Ween challenge, because it's 6 months away from Halloween now, starting the 24th of this month through the 30th. That's 7 days. So a week long of celebrating, halfway to Halloween. And so you have there's 5 challenges, and I will have my picks posted that I'm going to be doing on Instagram with the hashtag Half-a-Weenathon 2020. So, and this was started by Spinebreakers. They're the ones who originated Half-a-Weenathon, which I found out through Regina's Haunted Library. So the ones I'm doing are... Oh, sorry, I'm not telling those yet. I'm going to tell what the challenges are. So the challenges are you have to read a book that has black and or orange. Technically it's black or orange. On the cover. You have to read a book and watch its film adaptation. So one that's been made into a movie. So read the book and watch the movie. Read a book that has supernatural in it. I may get them a lot of words, okay. With something supernatural, and read a book with a spooky word in it, and then dress up into a costume made from stuff around the house, which I have costume stuff around the house like all the time, so that's easy for me. And or you can decorate your space for Halloween. So I'll be dressing up probably and paint a pic. And also a bonus is post it on social media, so I'll be doing that on Instagram, possibly Twitter. So follow me on Instagram and Twitter, and please visit my author page on Amazon. And also, if you'd like to buy my book, right now it is available for $2.99, digital version on Kindle at Amazon. So it's The Cursed Bridge House, a Gothic novel by E.D. Lewis. So check that out. Also, please check out the official Facebook page of my book, The Cursed Bridge House, and like that page, please. And I'm on Wattpad, and I just recently joined Bookbub, but I don't have the information for that right now, so... But that just goes over books I've read, books I recommend, and books that I would like to read, and I'm reading right now. So yeah. I think that's everything, you know. So follow me on Instagram, follow me on Twitter, check out my author page on Amazon. If you'd like to order my book, you can get that on Amazon. Please check out my official Facebook page for my book, The Cursed Bridge House. And follow me on Wattpad. You can read some of my writings on Wattpad, including the first 2 chapters of my book. So, yeah. I think that's it. So, stay safe, and I'll see you probably later this week with another review. I have actually another review ready to go, and I've had it ready to go. I've just did other things. So, yeah. So, see you next time. Bye-bye.